The good things and the first years will stay with me forever.
Zelda, darling, heart, ambition, enthusiasm, and confidence, I declare everything glorious this world is a game, and while I feel sure of you love, everything is possible. I am in the land of ambition and success, and my only hope and faith is that my darling heart will be with me soon.
Dearest, all these soft, warm nights going to waste when I ought to be lying in your arms under the moon. When I do get home again, you'll certainly have a most awful time ever moving me 1 inch from you. Sweetheart, please, please don't be so depressed. We'll be married soon, and then these lonesome nights will be over forever. You're so sweet when you're melancholy. I love your sad tenderness when I've hurt you. That's one of the reasons I could never be sorry for our quarrels. How can you think deliberately of life without me? If you should die, oh darling, darling Scott, it'd be like going blind. I'd have no purpose in life. Don't you think I was made for you? I feel like you had me ordered, and I was delivered to you to be worn.
Zelda, darling, I sent you a little present Friday. The ring arrived tonight, and I'm sending it Monday. I love you, and I thought I would tell you how much in this Saturday night when we ought to be together. Don't let your family be shocked at my present.
The things that we have done together and the awful splits that have broken us.
Darling, I had been unhappy for a long time then. When my play failed a year and a half before, when I worked so hard for a year, 12 stories, a novel and 4 articles in that time, with no one believing in me and no one to see except you, and before the end your heart betrayed me, and then I was really alone with no one I liked. We went to Antibes, and I was happy, but you were still sick, and all that fall and that winter and that spring at the cure, and I was alone all that time, and I had to get drunk before I could leave you so sick and not care, and I was only happy a little while before I got too drunk. Afterwards, there were all the usual penalties for being drunk. In despair, I went from the extreme of isolation, which is to say, isolation from Mademoiselle de Plong, or the Ritz bar where I got back my self-esteem for half an hour, often with someone I'd hardly ever seen before. You were going crazy and calling it genius. I was going to ruin and calling it anything that came to hand. The nearest I ever got to leaving you was when you told me you thought I was a fairy in the Rue Palatine. But now whatever you said aroused a sort of detached pity for you. I wish The Beautiful and Damned had been a maturely written book, because it was all true.
Dearest, my darling, that was your summer. Then I had asthma and almost died in Genoa, and you were back in America further apart than ever before. In California, though you would not allow me to go anywhere without you, you yourself engaged in fragrantly sentimental relations with a child. You said you wanted nothing more from me in your life, though you made a scene when Carl suggested I go to dinner with him. There was our first house party, and you and Lois, and when there was nothing more to do in the house, I began dancing lessons. You did not like it when you saw it made me happy. You were angry about rehearsal and insistent about trains. You went to New York to see Lois, and I met Dick the night of that party. Again, though you were thoroughly entangled sentimentally and forbade me from seeing Dick, and were furious from seeing Dick, and were furious about a letter he wrote me. You were constantly drunk. You didn't work, and were dragged home at night by taxi drivers when you came home at all. You said it was my fault for dancing all day. What was I to do? You made no advances towards me and complained that I was unresponsive. You were literally eternally drunk the whole summer.
and the only sadness is the living without you. You and I have been happy. We haven't been happy just once. We've been happy 1,000 times. Swim back home to me, to your haven forever and ever, even though it may seem a dark cave at times. It is the best refuge for you. Turn gently in the waters through which you move and sail back.
Dear Scott, if you could write to the choreographer a friendly, impersonal note to find out exactly where I stand as a dancer, it would be of the greatest help to me. Is it worth it? My legs are already flabby, and I would soon be like a huntress of a choral game, I suppose, instead of a human being. Why can't you write one what you think and want instead of vague attempts of reassurance? If I had work or something, it would be so much decenter to try to help and make at least a stirrup cup out of this bloody mess. I want you to let me leave here. You're wasting time and effort and money to take away the little time we both have left. If you think that I'm going to spend the rest of my life roaming about without happiness or work from one sanatorium to another, you are wrong. 2 sick horses might conceivably pull a heavier load than a well one alone. When are you coming? I'm here. And since I have no choice, I will try to muster the grace to rest peacefully as I should, but our divergence is too great, as you must realize, for us ever to be anything except a hash together, and since we have never found either help or satisfaction in each other, the best thing is to seek it separately. You might as well start, whatever it is you start, for a divorce immediately.
Zelda, my darling, this photograph is all I have. It is with me from the morning when I wake up, from a frantic dream about you, to the last moment when I think of you, and of death at night. The rotten letters you write me are simply put away under Z in my file. I love you with all my heart, because you are my own girl, and that is all I know.
Dearest, my darling, living is cold and technical without you, a death mask of itself. At 7 o'clock I had a bath, but you were not in the next room to make it a baptism of all I was thinking. At 8 o'clock I went to gymnastics, but you were not there to turn moving air into a harvesting of breezes. I love you, dear. You do not walk like a person ploughing a storm, but like a person very surprised at their means of locomotion hardly touching the earth, as if each step were experimental. And you are a darling, and it must be awful to always have a person trying to creep inside you the way I do.
Swim back home to me, to your haven forever and ever.
Goofy, my darling, hasn't it been a lovely day? I woke up this morning and the sun was lying like a birthday parcel on my table, so I opened it, and so many happy things went fluttering onto the air. The remembered feel of our skins cool against each other.
Turn gently in the waters through which you move and sail back.
My darling Scott, I haven't slept in weeks. The last 2 days I've had bromides and morphine, but it doesn't do any good. All because nobody ever taught me to play tennis. Your letter astonished me. For a month and 2 weeks I've been 3 times outside my room, and for 5 months I have lived with my sole desire, that of death. If you are coming here under the illusion that I am well, or even better, you will have to wait another year, so since I can see no possibility of escape from here, I want to leave here. I have spent as much time as I intend to, unable to step into a corridor alone. I am 30 years old and quite willing to take full responsibility for myself. Neither you nor Dr. Forrell has any legal right to keep me interned any longer.
Zelda, darling, You are the finest, loveliest, tenderest, most beautiful person that I have ever known. But even that is an understatement, because the length you went to there at the end would have tried anybody beyond endurance. I am on salary from today. The worst is over. It seems quite feasible that you may be able to go home to see your mother sometime in September. I can't promise about the 1st of September, but I'm doing my absolute best to make comfortable for us all.
Dearest Scott, you promised me long ago last spring that you'd help me get out of this confinement by the next fall. Please let me go home. The hospital is very expensive, and from my most unbiased point of view, hospitalization is of no urgency in my case. I'm sorry about our present estate. You promised me 2 years ago that you would pursue the matter of my going home. Time goes on, as you have perhaps remarked, and still I have no social status beyond that of a liability.
Zelda, my darling, I'm not very well. One lung is all gone now, and I broke 2 fingers handwriting this when I tried to lift off my bed desk myself last Saturday. But of course that is all a secret, because if the magazine knew I wasn't quite well, it wouldn't help me write the novel. I care about the novel, but not especially about anything else anymore. What would I not give for the right to leisure? I'd love to wake up some morning once and say, no cares today, no debts, no moneylenders, no mental prostitution. Nothing between me and my canvas except my hand, and that, well, not broken. The little finger trails across the page. I am not sorry for you this time. I envy you. I am infinitely more sorry for my expiring talent, which you will tell me would be helped by releasing you. You are a darling sometimes, but unfortunately you have given no signs that you can be anything more.
Scott, needless to say, your letter somewhat hurt me. May the new year bring you every happiness, good health, and lots of money. Dear, won't you please communicate with the hospital about letting me go?
And the only sadness is the living without you.